Hello, everyone. This is Ryan. I'm with the Arizona Memory Project. This is the Oral Histories Amplify Your Research session. We'll give everybody a couple minutes to get themselves situated, if there's anybody having any login issues. So we'll just give it a couple minutes. The webinar is being recorded, so you'll have a chance to review this again, and there will be an accompanying PowerPoint that I won't screen share for this presentation, but it will be posted to the Arizona Memory Project at the conclusion of the webinar, and I'll show you where you can find those at the conclusion of the webinar. So just give everyone a couple minutes to get themselves set up and into the meeting, and then we'll get started. Okay, I think we can get started. Welcome, everyone. This is the Amplify Your Research session for Oral Histories. This is part of a series that we've been doing, focusing on different items that you can find in the Arizona Memory Project. We do record these, and you can view both this recording and previous webinars on the Arizona Memory Project website. At the conclusion of the webinar, I'll show you where you can find all of those recordings and accompanying PowerPoint slides, so that you can, if you miss anything, you can always go back and review them, or if there's someone you know that wasn't able to make one of these webinars, you can circulate that link to them and they can do that as well. By means of introduction, my name is Ryan Airforth. I'm the administrator for the Arizona Memory Project. So I'll be talking through this webinar for you regarding how to search and do research using oral histories. First, a couple housekeeping things, sort of general information. This is the AMP homepage. If you come over here to more and go to using this site research guide, and we'll drop a link in the chat, the direct link to this research guide. This is a guide for using the Arizona Memory Project, so it tells you more about the site itself, some research tips, and then these will go through all of the different tools that are available on the Memory Project. So this is a general how to use the site, regardless of what research that you're doing. It's not just oral histories, but this is everything. So this tells you, the navigation panel, your different options, the filters and facets you can use, different features. You're able to utilize tools that you can use to interface with an item once you find something, how to contribute, some FAQs, how to contact us, all that stuff. So this is a really good guide to get sort of a broad overview and of how to use the site, and also specific details about tools and features and functions and things like that. And you can always reach out to us if you've got questions or you get stumped or you're not sure how to look for something. So that guide is there for you. And I'll let you know that although it's not required, you can create a member account. The main advantages of creating a member account is that you will be able to bookmark items or favorite them that you come across on the site. Again, if you're interested in oral histories or anything else, as long as it's an item in the Arizona Memory Project, you can bookmark it. So by default, it says guest or log in. If you need to create an account, you can click guest, register now. This autofills to me, but you can put in any name that you'd like. an email address that you'd like. And I'm going to log in just for a moment so that you can see the different tools that will open up on the left-hand side once you log in. And you might see some stuff that you won't see as a regular user account because I'm logged in as me, as an administrator. So you won't see this admin panel, there's other things. But so once you create a user account, you can go to My Profile. You can change your password, change your name. Over here, there are select metadata fields that you can suggest edit. So if you notice that the metadata on an item is wrong, or you think it's wrong, you can contact us and say, hey, this is wrong. I think this is the correct metadata, and then we can go in and fix that for you. But over here is the My Collection. This is going to be something that's going to open up once you log in as a member. So here you can see all the different things that I've bookmarked, different projects that I'm working on. But once we get to an item, I'll show you how you can create or bookmark items that will then end up in this section. You can bookmark individual things, and you can also organize those things into collections. So I've got things to evaluate. I've got different things over here that I've just sort of bundled into collections as a way to kind of keep things together. So if you're working on multiple projects, this is a great way to keep things organized. So again, I'm going to log out just so you see what you're seeing in this webinar is what you'll see when you go to the site yourself. All right, we're going to go back to the home page. Okay, so we do have a landing page for all of the oral histories. And I believe, let's see if no, we did not add them to the front. That's one moment. Let me get that link. So this would be a good example of something that you could bookmark for yourself. You do that by clicking on the star over here. If you were logged in, you click on it and it would say added to your collection. Then you would go back over here to the section, and then it would be listed there. So we have a landing page for all of the oral histories. They are all organized by collection. So, and most of these collections are thematic. So this one in particular is about the Alpine area, family history. We have oral histories of Arizona State legislators, and they're usually talking about bills they worked on, their experience at the legislature, things like that. Bisbee is a collection of oral history from Bisbee residents. Grand Canyon Historical Society, Glendale, Oral Histories of the White Mountains, etc. So a lot of these are going to be thematic. And so yeah, you can start there. So I'm just going to go click in one at random. So you'll see that this sort of formatting changed. So what we looked at is a format that is a collection, but it's a collection of audio files and oral history. So one thing to keep in mind is oral history pages. I'll go into one so you can see how the different formatting works. So format is oral history. You can see what collection it's linked to, you can see the topic it's related to, and you can see how many files there are. So oral history as a format is not an individual item, but it's a landing page for related items. So this one in particular has audio files attached to it. Some oral histories have audio, some oral histories have video, some oral histories have transcripts, some have all three, and some have some combination thereof, or only one of them. So this one in particular just has audio files. But the format that you're looking at is the oral history, because everything related to this person's oral history is linked here, these two audio files. So oral histories are always going to have, for the most part, there might be some exceptions, but for the most part, they're going to be the name of the interviewee, so the person who gave the oral history. You'll see other information about who the interviewer was, the inclusive dates of the time that we're talking about. So you know broadly that in this particular oral history, they're covering 1960s through the 2010s. You can see what language. I believe we do have some Spanish language ones. And there's other metadata related here about, which collection, who contributed to it, and again, the topics. You'll see some of these on both sides. So we'll click into this one, just because it's an audio interview. We can start with that. So here is where you're at the individual item level, in this case, an audio file. You can see that it's linked to the collection, the Bisbee Memoir Project, and you can also see that it's linked back to the oral history that we were just. So this is useful if you click into here directly, if you do a search and get to this page before you get to that oral history page we were just on, you can always find your way back using these links. And you can see more specific broad topics that this interview is about. You'll see more metadata over here, who the interviewee is, who did the interview, the subjects that are covered, and a description. And this description is usually pretty broad. It's not going to be a transcript. If there are transcripts, that will be a separate file that will be on that oral history page. Not all oral histories have transcripts. For the most part, these were delivered to us by contributing institutions. And sometimes they had transcripts and sometimes they didn't. So mileage may vary on sort of the completeness of these. You can see how long the interview is for this particular file. You'll notice there's part 1, part 2. A lot of these got split up just to kind of keep files small. And I think a lot of the cases, a lot of these were recorded on cassettes in the first place. And so they just probably had to split them up just for space considerations. And so they put them on 2 tapes and then they digitized them and they still kind of wound up as 2 parts. When the interview was done, so in this case, date original, the range again. So even though this is when the oral history was recorded, these are the date ranges that are covered by the interviewee. More information about copyright. So this particular one is copyrighted by the contributing institution, which is in this case the person who went out to the Bisbee community and did those recordings. And additional information about the city or town being discussed, the county, the state, the country. Again, same link, oral history. This link is the same as this link. It just shows up in a couple places. And just other information about file size, digital format, and things like that. So down here may be less important to you, but it's there if you need it. So yeah, anytime you just want to play it, it's just as easy as clicking the play button. And then, yeah, you can certainly jump around. One thing that we're working on is adding timestamps or sort of chaptering these. We have several hundred oral histories, so it'd be a big project to do that because it requires sitting down, listening, manually entering timestamps. But that is one thing that we're working on as sort of like a long-term project. So that way, 21 minutes isn't the longest interview, but we do have ones that are over an hour, 2 hours. And a lot of these oral histories, they cover a lot of topics and subjects, and they might only talk about it for 3 or 4 minutes. So the idea would be once those captions are in, they'd be listed down here, and then they'd be titled, Adriana discusses XYZ topic with timestamps. And then that way it'd be a lot easier to navigate and it'd be a lot easier to sort of browse by topic. If you know you're interested in a particular topic, then those will be listed out for you. So we're just not there yet, but that is sort of a something that's coming. So that covers the audio component of it. I'm going to go look for one that's got video. I believe all of these are. So I'm going to work my way back to this main oral histories landing page. And I believe, let's go here. Oh, so here's an example of one collection that has video components. And you can see over here again, more related metadata. This is, this particular collection of oral histories links back to the main page. It has 43 videos and the 43 oral histories here. So again, these are split up like this because the oral history is going to have all the component parts versus these are just the videos. I believe in this case, this particular collection only has video components, right? So same idea. The metadata layout is going to be the same, descriptions, video length. So just for the most part, you just swap out the word audio with video and most everything else is going to be the same. So that's all the same down there, your collection, the oral history it's linked to. They may not all have this, but if there is a place a specific place that someone in the oral history is discussing, then that links back to a place page. So this is going to be an enormous page because it's everything in the site, but we've linked back to Phoenix. So there's a lot of Phoenix activity, but if I click on this link, you would scroll down until you got to a video section, and then you'd find this here. But same idea. Oh yeah, I just click it, and then it would just start playing. Same idea. We can also put captions on videos, but again, that's a long-term project that we definitely need to get to. But same idea. Timestamp it by subject. All right, I'm going to work my way back to that main landing page again, and I'm going to look for something that has a transcript attached to it. Trying to remember which of these has them. Is it only audio? No, I could also. I'll go into these in a little bit. Now I'm just going to jump straight to transcripts. Oh, there we go. So oral histories that do have transcripts, regardless of whether they're video format or audio format, if they're a transcript, it will be uploaded as a PDF, so it behaves like a document. So one thing that you'll be able to do is if you have the audio or the video going in a different tab, or just listening to it sort of in the background. This is all OCR'd, which means it's text searchable. So you come in here, type in a keyword, how many matches there are, it'll tell you, and then you can just go to where they are. And then this is, this beginning part is just kind of setting things up. But then you can navigate through the document, the transcript, and find where they are talking about specific topics. So in this case, if you're interested in the Grand Canyon, you could work your way through. There's not entirely a one-to-one comparison between listening to the audio and trying to find it on the page. You can kind of work your way through this and sort of follow along if you'd like. You might get your general bearings for like, okay, if I found the term Grand Canyon on say the 43rd page, it's generally towards the end, so you can kind of work your way. It's not the same thing as having a good timestamp again. But in the meantime, if there are transcripts, you can at least follow along that way. So here, that particular transcript is linked to the oral history of Abby, Kathy, and Peter Holcomb. And here you can see that both of these are linked here. So because the oral history has audio files and transcript files, those are all linked to the oral history. So that's why this oral history page format exists. So that way you can link multiple item types together. So audio is an item type, video is an item type, transcript is an item type. So this way you can link all those things together. Okay. So those I sort of jumped into. So what happens if you want to do a search and you want to try and find oral histories? Actually, let's start with browsing first. So let's start over. Homepage is where you get to. You come here to browse all on the left-hand side. And then, so this is going to give you everything. So you want to narrow it down. If you like, you can go straight to oral history. So we have 735 oral histories, and there are many more files. So it doesn't include, that's just those oral history landing pages. So think of them, oral history as interviews or people who have done an interview. And then the audio, video, and transcripts, those all add up to a different number. So you can click on this, oral history, and there you go. There's your 735 results. It's going to automatically order by title A to Z. You can change it to added most recently, added the longest time ago. This lowest item ID probably isn't going to mean much to you. You're probably going to mostly stick to A to Z, Z to A by title. Unfortunately, there's no sort by date. That's something we've asked the vendor to implement. So that way, if you're interested in the earliest oral histories, you'd have a way to sort that. There isn't a way to do it right now, so it's just A to Z. One of the other things that you can do is click this icon over here, and then it's going to create a drop down. So these are all individual metadata fields in the oral history template. So you could search by person, and this is going to, yeah. So you'll have different people. In this particular case, a lot of the person field is not filled out for most of these. But a different way you can go about it is topic. So it's just listing these alphabetically as to by popularity. So if you're interested in a particular topic, or you're just browsing for a topic and you're interested, okay, like I'd like to hear some oral histories on civil rights, you can click this. And then here you've got two of them that talk about civil rights. And again, once we have timestamps, it'll be a lot easier to kind of go in and do it once you get in the actual recording. All right, I'm gonna work my way back. Go. Okay. You can also deselect these at any time. So if you're like, okay, I've got those two, I want to search for something else, then you just select it again. It'll unselect itself. And if you were interested in, oral history by place, you're like, okay, I'd like to know about, a Greer or the Phoenix Zoo or anything like that. So again, this is good for browsing if you're just kind of interested in, broadly a topic, or you're just kind of curious, like, oh, what kind of oral histories, what kind of subjects or topics are covered. You could do that here. Yeah. And then we've got a handful of events. Actually, there should be more there than that. But if there's an event that it's linked to, in this case, someone in an oral history has talked about the Arizona State Fair. So you go over here. Hey, I need to do some. Well, at any rate, you get the idea. So yeah, so that's how you would browse. You could also browse by turn this off, so that way our results don't start stacking on us. Audio, we have 1,323 audio files. Not all of them are oral histories. A lot of them are, but not all. So just be a little bit careful if you're going to browse by that format. And then the same thing with video. All the way to the near the bottom. 649 videos, not all are oral histories. But you could click on those and that would give you all the videos, including some of these research sessions. So there you go. Okay, so that's browsing. That's kind of how you would broadly browse to look for them, knowing that oral history is its own format, and then it's comprised of audio, video, and also transcripts. Most of these transcripts, I believe, belong to an oral history of some kind. Some of these, I think, are like hearings and trials and things like that. But a lot of these are going to be linked to oral histories. So if you're going to click one at random, it's like, is it part of an oral history? You'll know it will be, or you'll know that it is because it's linked to a oral history, which you could then click, and you'll see there's the two audio files and the transcript. And I believe for the most part, the transcript should cover both. I don't think generally our contributing institutions split the transcript into part ones and part twos. So it's just a general note. Okay. So let's do search. Where'd you find these if you ran a search? So let's say you're interested in the Grand Canyon. This is just a very basic search. I didn't do anything with these tools here. I just typed in Grand Canyon. You're going to get a lot of results. It's a very popular place. So again, go back. Best way to sort of find oral history related items is to click on the format. You can jump straight to oral histories. So you can see the Grand Canyon Historical Society. They are a contributing institution, so you'll see a lot of those. So those particular ones, 9 of them are here. And again, you could also click audio, video, transcript, and then you have to click into those and sort of click into one and then see if it's linked to an oral history. So I'm going to try that just so you kind of see sometimes the kind of a bit of sleuthing you kind of have to do to work out which of these are related to an oral history. And sometimes the transcripts will be nice and just tell you that they are oral history transcripts. So you can see that it's linked to Don Gray Jordan's oral history. And these are all highlighted because we did a keyword search. So the URL it saves the search that you did. So as you click into things after a search result, you will, in documents anyway, these will start highlighting for you. And you can turn it off if you don't need that anymore. So then you can think back to his oral history. You can see that it's part of the Capturing Arizona Stories collection, that there are 2 audio files and there's a transcript. So again, use these like breadcrumbs. You know, they'll give you the context for what collection it came from, if it's, you know, the different topics that it might be related to. It'll tell you if there's audio files, transcripts. It's not hard to tell, you know, from just browsing this, but sometimes these pages can be loaded with items, and then this is kind of like a little quick guide to kind of tell you how many are there. Here's okay, back to search results. So again, there goes Grand Canyon. That's just me doing a very basic search. But if you wanted to get more specific from the beginning, you can type in Grand Canyon. If you know you're looking for an oral history, you can just deselect everything. By default, it's all going to get turned on. You deselect everything. Check oral history. There's those same 9 results. Set this again. You can also tell it, this all fields plus content, that is useful if you're searching transcripts, because it's going to search the text that's searchable versus just a title only. For oral histories, that may not be the best route because an audio file or video file, they might be talking about the Grand Canyon, but they may also be talking about a lot of other topics. And so Grand Canyon, the words may not show up in the title. It'll probably show up. All fields means metadata fields. So the description, the topics, things like that. You can also select a date range. You do need to put it a complete date in this format. So you can put in, you know, 01, 1930, 12, 31, 1950, and then that will give you search results for just that date range. You can also tell it all keywords, any keywords, exact phrase match. So this is going to search anything, you know, all the keywords that you type in. This is going to do any keyword, so it'll search for Grand or Canyon, but not necessarily in that order. And exact phrase match is going to search Grand Canyon specifically. So it's going to look for it in that order. The other thing you can do is search within fields. So if you are interested in, well, first you could do oral history. So if you know that's the format you want to search, then these are all the available fields. So for example, if you are looking for a specific topic in an oral history, so pick the format, pick the field. That's a metadata field. Click add. So now when you run your search, it's going to, I'm going to change this. It's a bit tricky because you kind of have to know what the topics are, but if you're interested, just say like, oh, parts, oral history field. Now run your search, should get, yeah, there you go, back to those, because Grand Canyon is a park. So yeah, you can fiddle around with those a little bit. And these will all stack. So you can pick, you know, an audio file, all fields with a date range and exact phrase search. So you could stack these all on top of each other. You don't have to pick one over the other. The only one that overrides the other fields is this one, because you're telling it already which format you're looking for and which specific field. So it kind of turns off these other two. But you can always remove that and go back to these if you'd like. All right, let's go back to a specific oral history, and I'll show you some of the tools that you can use. So we'll use this transcript as an example. Some of the tools that are available, download. Hey, this should have been, all right. This is not a good example because I think they've disabled downloading on this one. Let me get to and find an example of an oral history that will let you download. That these were turned on. My bad. Excuse me while I go look for a collection that allows for downloading. That would be the tool that you use anyway. You can see here. Well, what you could be able to do is click the download icon, and then once something becomes available, instead of this blank, uh, what you should see is a download the video file, and then that'll show up here. You can click on it. So yeah, these are the different conservating institutions. They decide whether they want to have the download function enabled or disabled for users. So in this case, they wanted it disabled, and so we respect their choice on that. I'm going to try one more time. Go. Okay, yeah, my bad. But yeah, you'd be able, that's where you would download it. Pay attention, just check out the right statement over here. So in this case, if you wanted to download it, you'd contact the contributing institution. You can also contact us and we can put you in touch with them. Add to my collection. So this is where you would click to add it once you're logged in. Again, I'm logged out for the moment, but you could click on this and then it will show up over here in that new section once you're logged in of my collections. You can also contact us about this. If you are logged in, you will get this will autofill to your credentials, whatever username and whatever email address that you entered, and then you can type whatever it is, like, hey, I've got a question about copyright, or how do I use this? And so when this sends to us in the back end, then it's going to give us a link to this specific item so we can double check, and it just ensures that we understand the exact item that you're talking about, so we can get you the correct information to help with that. And if you're using this in a publication of some kind, or if you just want to, if you're writing a blog and you want to link to it or something, there's a little citation builder here that you can use. It just, I have to just click on it, and then you can just copy paste that wherever you need it. All right. And I'm going to go to here. So I'm going to show you how you can also kind of find oral histories, even if it's not something specific that you're looking for. So I'm going to go to Grand Canyon, because again, it's loaded with, you can see there's a 1,056 things. Okay. So I'll show you how oral histories, audio files, video files may show up to different landing pages. So oral histories are formatted as their own template where all related things, audio, video, transcript files link to that oral history. This is another example, same idea, place, Grand Canyon National Park, where we can link everything related to the Grand Canyon National Park here. These do sort by popularity. So if you get to, if you know that you're interested in the Grand Canyon, you would come here and then you would find, okay, cool, here's some audio files. These are nice enough to tell you that they are oral histories right in the title. When there's more than 24 or 25 items, click on this arrow over here, and then that'll get you all the results. And this functions like the same search results page as any other search results page on the site, but it's just limited to the audio files that were linked to the Grand Canyon National Park. So you can make your way through here. And just for fun. Nope. Okay. Go back to the page. There are those audio files. there's maps, other places it's linked to, newspapers, books, and I know I'm scrolling fast and just trying to get down to the yeah, there's videos. I don't know if any of these are oral histories. There's transcripts, so those will go, those will match the audio files that are up there. You can see that sometimes I think oral history is in the title of all the collections. So if you scroll down, like, oh, cool, there's a collection, ranking oral history project. Yeah, and there's your audio files. Here's your oral histories. So yeah, so sometimes you can find oral histories by searching one of the other formats. So a place, for example, or a topic. And those, again, you can browse through here. Let's expand this. So events, places, topics, things like that. So you may be able to find oral histories by kind of browsing through some of these other sites as well. Okay, let me make sure I covered everything, and then we can open it up for questions. Yeah, yeah, I think that's that is it from me, formally part of the presentation. But yeah, everybody to yeah, all right, I'm gonna check out the questions, and then people can raise hands, add things to the chat. So I'm gonna make my way through the questions that I already see. So yeah, so I do see one. Are there transcripts to the oral histories? Sometimes. So yeah, the best way to find all the transcripts, again, most of these are for oral histories, not every single one of them, but the easiest way to get to the transcripts is we made it its own item type. And then you can browse your way through here. I think a lot of them do say oral history right in the title. Not all of them do. And that may be something we go back and kind of update the titles. So that way it's obvious just from the title alone that it is linked to an oral history. These are, but they don't say oral history in the title. But that's something we can update. We have a question. Are we able to add captions ourselves? I believe there is a function that would allow you to do that if you're a member, but I would need to double check that that function has been enabled. We've been sort of exploring different crowdsourcing options to allow people to kind of do that. What we need to make sure is when people are making changes that it sort of gets sent to us to review, that we can look at it and then we sort of say, yep, everything looks good. And then basically approve the suggestion or approve the change that they've made. So there's the technical capability to do that, but we're just exploring the sort of best way to allow that kind of crowdsourcing in a way that we can review it and make sure that there aren't a ton of changes being made to the site and the system isn't telling us that these changes are being made. We have a question. Do you need permission to use portions of an oral history interview or to paraphrase the text? Generally, yes. That's what that right statement is for. So let me grab, I'm in transcripts right now. Some of these aren't, we're also working on making these right statements a lot clearer. So again, these are contributed by external institutions that provide stuff to us. Some of these right statements are very basic. They don't quite tell you everything you might need to know. This one at least tells you, that it belongs to the Alpine Public Library. If you have any reproduction permissions, to please contact them. And again, if some of these collections that were contributed to us, were contributed a while ago, and sometimes, this information can, be out of date. So if you ever run into problems trying to contact the contributor, which you'll always see right above the right statement who contributed it, if you have any trouble contacting them, you can always contact us and then we can help you out with that. But generally, yeah, it's probably best to ask permission to use portions because it is an institution's intellectual property. Even if the interviewer has said, yes, it's okay for this to be on the memory project, or yes, it's okay to put this, online someplace else, it's still something that is owned by the contributing institution. Okay, those are all the questions I see in the chat so far. But if anyone else has any other questions, you can feel free to throw it in the chat, raise your hand, and I can also help answer any other questions that may have come up. Oh, okay, Q&A. Okay, if you do general search on a person with a search ID, oral history files, with search ID, oral history files where that person's name may be discussed within the oral file, right? If it's in the metadata, it will. So the oral history template will have, let me get to one so I can show you what all the fields can be searched. Yeah, you know what? Not all these are filled out. I have a better way to do this. So this is something that you can do. If you want to know all the fields that are assigned to a specific template, so in this case, the oral history. So if you were searching in oral history, then these are all the fields that might have metadata in it that are all searchable. So any search that you do is going to look in all of these fields. So the person page, that is, I'll show you because that can get a little bit confusing because oral history is one format, person is another, because not some persons have oral histories assigned to them, but not all. I'm just going to show you what that looks like. So these are person pages. Again, so this is, everything that we have related to Anna Fromiller is located here. I'll click into it just to see if she has oral histories for audio and video files. Not in this particular case. But yeah, so the person template, as you kind of explore the site, is different than the oral history. Even though oral history titles are named for the person doing the interview, doesn't necessarily mean that a person has an oral history. It gets a little confusing. If you come back here to the search, I'll show you audio, video, transcripts. So, you want audio, then there's a lot more metadata fields. So you're probably going to get a lot more mileage searching an audio or a video template, just because there's a lot more metadata fields. Because again, those oral histories are sort of a landing page. It's broad information about the oral history. And then most of the metadata as far as the date original, any biographical note. So this is probably where you're going to find, if you're running a search, there's a decent chance that biographical note is going to have the person's name in it. Interviewee, interviewer, that's going to be, again, the interviewee is going to match the name of the oral history title, who did the interview, and anybody who did the transcription, publisher, subject, things like that. So yeah, if you run a search, you're most likely going to you're most likely going to search result for an audio, video, or transcript file versus oral history, just because there's a lot more fields. Now you might end up with an oral history. So for example, if you knew that you were searching for, I'm gonna cancel this, the whole thing's, it's a lot. Again, so you're just searching a name, so it's going to give you everything. So they're going to show up in yearbooks and documents, and this is just everybody named Fulton. Fortunately, it's pretty good at giving you, search results that are most relevant to what you're looking for. But again, run a search. So you can see that it's highlighted stuff that it found. So in this case, it's in the title of the oral history. It's in the title of the transcript. It's in the titles of the audio files. But again, any search that you do by name, easiest way, go to format, audio, decent chance it's an oral history, video, decent chance if there were any. You can always come over here down to oral history. Okay, so now you're weeding out, 589 things into just the one oral history that involves this family. And then you can see all the related, audio transcripts. So this oral history page, when it says format oral history, that's how you know you're getting everything. And if you get into an individual file, say again, if you clicked into this and you didn't follow this exact search results path that I just did, you can always trace it back to the oral history that it came from and say, okay, well, where's part 1. Come back to oral history, and then we can find everything that's related to it. So I hope that answered the question. I know that was a long sort of explanation, but there's a lot of little nuances and details that can kind of be a little tricky to navigate. Genealogy, what are your best suggestions? Oral histories seem limited. Yeah, it's again, most of these oral histories were contributed by external institutions, and so we have what we've been provided. I think the only in-house one that we've done is the legislator oral histories. We do have, I think we have a previous session on genealogy, or more focused on genealogical resources. So let me see if I can find that real quick. There we go. Okay. So I got here by going to more, getting started. That gets you to this page. So these are kind of different broad user bases, people we know that are just here to browse. State employees usually have something specific they're looking for. We know that legislative staff or law clerks are always going to look for something specific. Then we have a section here for genealogists. It's not going to show you everything, but it is going to give you a broad overview of what you can find in the memory project that's particularly suited or well suited for genealogy. So newspapers, we have a lot of obituary requests. And again, the limitations on newspapers, of course, is they're almost all copyrighted. Before 1928, we have a lot of those, but if there's anything, and through 1963, we do have a lot of newspapers that were put up here through a partnership with the Library of Congress through the National Digital Newspaper Program. That'll get us through 63, but again, not everything is here. We do a lot of microfilm research for people if they're looking for an obituary, those kinds of things. A lot of city directories, a lot of yearbooks, and this is sort of, other materials, other places to look. So again, yeah, we are focused on oral histories today. You're right that they are kind of limited. They're, what we have is what we have. You'll probably get a lot more mileage if you're looking for like a family name or a different community or something, probably one of these other resources. And we do have research sessions on newspapers, city directories, I think yearbooks. But again, yeah, before we close the session, I'll show you how you can navigate to all the past research sessions that you can look at. And I believe we also have a genealogy research guide. But we can, yeah, we may be able to grab that and put that in the chat. So what was I going to do? Oh yeah, research sessions. So one way you can find it, I happen to have it bookmarked, but I'm not going to log in and do that. If you just put in amplify your research, then they're all here, and you can bookmark this link again. So if you're logged in, you can add it to your collection. That'll pop up over here once you're logged in. But yeah, that's the URL, not the question mark. You don't need that. But yeah, so city directories, yeah, other things. So these are all the other ones. I guess we don't have them for your list. But yeah, you can see that we've got all of these available. These, so the documents, the PowerPoint slides that you can follow along to, and then the videos are the recorded webinars that you can check out yourself. So if you're, yeah, so if there's any questions, unrelated to oral histories, or you want to understand how oral history sort of fits into the broader AMP site, then those are here for you. All right, I'm just looking to see if there's any more questions. All right, I don't see any more. So yeah, I'll give it a minute, to see if anyone else has any questions that have come up. But other than that, I want to thank everybody for attending. There will be a survey that should send out to the email that you registered for this webinar with, I believe within an hour of closing the webinar. So you should get it within an hour. If not, I believe we can drop it in the chat as well, and you can just take it immediately if you'd like. But we do have one more session for this year. It's on October 30th, and that one is focused on topics and places. So that's to help you search things by topic and by place. So this place-based research. So yeah, we have a registration link for that should be dropping in the chat, and you can sign up for that. It'll be formatted pretty similarly to this one. The only real difference is we'll be focused on a different subject, but it'll be us going through on the site how you can search for those things. So let's see. Let me grab that link and see if it's not showing up on my end yet. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Maybe I missed it. Oh no. Yep. There it goes. Yep. Sorry, it didn't show up. Include the links you sent out on the email after the session so we can copy and paste into our browsers. Yeah, I can do that. Fact, let me grab that now. May already be up here. Yeah, let me just make sure I got it right. Include the links you sent out in the email. Oh, yeah. Yeah, so all the links I believe that we discussed are in the chat here, but yeah, I can include them in a post follow-up email, and then you can check those out. So yeah, I can do that. Okay, I'm not seeing any other questions. I'll stick around for another minute or so. But yeah, again, thanks everybody for attending. We do plan to have another 2025 series. There's only one left for this year, and then we'll be a break. The next one I think would probably be in like May or June of 2025. So yeah, that gives us time to sort of do more work on the site so that it's better than it was before, and that when we do more research sessions for next year, then it's in better shape. So yeah, thanks everyone for attending. Feel free to end the webinar, but I'll hang around for another minute or so just in case anybody has any last minute questions. Thanks so much for attending. For the question for going back to a June email, if you'd registered in June, then I think I gave you that link immediately. The system should have sent you a reminder email 24 hours before this session started, so it should have sent something at 11 a.m. yesterday. I don't know if it went to junk spam, but it should have done that for you. I apologize if it didn't. Yeah, I know sometimes it's hard to kind of scrounge up these links. Awesome, thank you. All right, not seeing any questions, so consider this a 10-second countdown, last chance. And then after that, I'll end the webinar, and I hope to see you for uh, future sessions, future webinars, and I hope you enjoy the site. You can always contact us with any questions or suggestions for how to make the site better. So thanks everyone for attending, and happy researching.